All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is August 3rd, 2019. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title of today's webinar is Can You See the Trade Ahead of Time? And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk, therefore there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? We are going to get started. By the way, what Mindy was mentioning just a minute ago, let me just show you. On the member login, which most everybody that comes to these webinars, a lot of people watch them recorded, but as a rule, a lot of people that come to these webinars are members. But if you're also on a trial this week, welcome, or next week, welcome. But we do have a members area of our website that's password protected. It's login and password. And down in the section where the webinars are, which is scrolling down, is this webinar that Mindy was talking about. It's 4 trade setups to memorize. I went ahead and put this in blue. I mean, you could probably find it in our regular webinars because it was several months ago. I think she said it was in March. So you could scroll down to March and find it also. But I put these in blue so that these would be important webinars for everybody to watch. Because to me, if you memorize 4 trade setups and even try to just, glom onto 2 of them, so to speak, you're going to do pretty well in your trading. Charles, to give an example, he basically just likes, the mid-band trades. I know he does take some of the trades, that I'll draw in the room and call on, like even the phantom trades, but I don't think he, particularly likes them as much as he does his mid-band trades. And that's fine, because you can make money trading mid-bands. But you got to know where that next trade is, because just because it comes down to mid-band doesn't mean you hit the button. You got to draw on your charts, and you've got to see support and resistance. You got to see lightning 1, 2, and 3, and that's how you're going to see all that. But anyway, these are some good webinars right here. Identified swings are super important. 4 trade setups to memorize. Phantom trades explained in detail. Okay. Let's see. For some reason, I can't do mid-band long, but I can do them short. Well, the one thing that I have noticed about trading, and I think that's a good observation. Mindy was saying that just a second ago, because I see that same thing. The long are a little bit more iffy at mid-bands than the shorts are. When they drop, they usually come to those mid-bands just beautifully and just roll over, for those rollover trades. But on the the mid-band longs, now there's a lot of those that are really good too, but you really got to watch for it, to kind of do its thing and, get started. One thing you're going to find out though, if you'll take the mid-band trades and even the short trades, when they've actually started stair-stepping on the mid-band, you're going to do a lot better. Because, when it's sideways and everything, that's when they'll try to get you. All right, but that's a good observation. Let's just show this chart real quick. This is an actual chart on gold. And matter of fact, this was right after the non-farm payroll report yesterday. Okay, so if you were looking at this chart right now, all right, and you were to draw on your charts and everything, where do you think this chart would more than likely bounce? Because on this chart, it pretty much already has. If you look at this swing right across here, see how it's come down into that area right there? So, is this going to come and kiss this again? Very possibly, right? And if it does, that's where you're going to want to, try to grab some of these trades. That one webinar I had, I think it was just a week ago, we talked about quite a bit of these trade setups, with the lightning 1, 2, and 3. Basically you're talking about your minor, your secondary, and your medium type swings. And So what I do each and every day is I look at a chart and I try to block out everything that's on that chart except the lightning. And you can do it even with a regular chart, because this is that same chart right here, and you need to train your eye to see these, where it's stair stepping. Now it started stair stepping down a little bit, but see how it's right at that mid band, that little sweet spot that we talk about. But here is what Mindy's talking about, and I totally agree with her on this, because here's the thing. Let's say that you saw this in real time. You're saying, you know what? If they come down into this area, I'm going to be looking more than likely at a little long trade, right? So you draw on your chart. And what happens is, you get within like a tick or so you might take that trade, and then, just real quickly, they're right back in your face. Okay? And that's something that obviously happens to every one of us continually. Now, the one thing that I personally like to do is I like to see some form of an ABC. Now, this did actually do like an ABC to me, but here's the thing: what they do though, then they do an A, B, C like that. You see what I mean? So here's what you're looking at. You had this first thrust down, or retrace, that is, and then you had a little pop back to the upside, and that is definitely a little ABC. Okay, and they don't always come down to support. So, if you take something like that, see, that came down within 2 ticks. And if you got in right here, to give an example, on that trade, you really didn't even get a scalp. But that's also why, if you get into a trade like this, that you want to pretty much get out of it. If you're in it and it pops up, basically you get your bar closed, then you get a bar close down, you're still okay. You get a bar close up, you're still okay. Bar close down, you're still okay. Up, you're still okay. Down, you're still okay. Up again, and it's stair stepping, right? But the moment that it quits doing that, takes out that little swing, you could actually get out of that trade. And a lot of our people do just that. Okay. Now, would you have made very much on that trade? No. But it would only be in hindsight that you might not have taken that trade, right? Because, if you're looking for the actual bounce off of support, that was a better buy, right? But what if this would have just started stair stepping up and kept going? So that's something that we've all got to, decide when you do take a trade. And, for instance, if you put your stop at mid-band, let's say that you got in this trade here, you saw this in real time happening, and you said, okay, that's close enough. I came within 2 ticks. I'm going to take it. Well, then if you put your stop even at mid-band, they still got you. See there? They tagged mid-band. And you would have given up, 5 or 6 ticks plus your 4 ticks it took to get in. So, if you're actually want to avoid some of these traps at mid-band like this, then I would highly recommend don't fall for where it comes close, but actually make it touch. Because as a rule, they're going to do that, but they're going to do a little fake first. And keep in mind that we use 4-range bars. So, if you were to have taken this trade and immediately get up a little bit and then it comes right back where you're negative, just hit the button. You can get out of a trade really quick. It's very easy and it doesn't cost that much. What costs a lot is holding on to it. And plus, at the time, you can clearly see that you had a mid-band that was actually rose-colored. So most of our people were taking shorts up here if they happened to have traded this, obviously, at 7:30ish. That was right when the non-farm payroll went off. Okay. All right, but let's look at this again real quick, though. Let's see where we're at right now. Now, notice how when you thrust up here and you pull right back into a support area right here. See, they've tested this support and they bounced. So they thrust up a little bit more, and then you always have to look to the left to trade the right. I draw a line here. You've got a little swing right there, see that little wick, and then you've got a swing right here. And this is before this happens, by the way. So at the time, you see this. Let's say that you saw in your charts and you're looking at this right here. You want to see the actual trade ahead of time. So if you draw on your charts, and for instance, it comes down to mid-band, but let's say you missed that because it's 7:30. It's too close to non-farm payroll. But what if right after that it comes down and kisses your line and you box it in and put a tight stop just in case it comes down to here? You know, that's what I see on a chart like this. Now, I don't remember trading this till after 7:31 because, you know, I trade a top step account, a one-up account. I've got my own live account. But even on my live account, I don't actually like trading, you know, during any kind of news. Because let's face it, if you were in this thing at 6 o'clock in the morning or so, it was just pretty much going sideways. And when the news came out, they crammed it. And then within a minute, they had it back up. So see, this was actually non-farm payroll right here from 7:30 to 7:31 right here. That's actually literally just 1 minute and 7 seconds. So that's pretty much why you don't want to trade that. Okay. Now, if you had missed this trade, and let's say, you know, you're waiting till that minute after non-farm payroll, you can still see the trades on the chart. What you want to start training your eye to see is your minimum criteria trades, your stealth touches. You know, this was a perfect entry right here, even after, if you happen to, you know, not be on Top Step or One Up or evaluation account, because you couldn't trade this until 7:31. So right in here is pretty much where you were able to trade it. So I'm going to fast forward this a little bit, and I'm going to see if anybody can see a trade setup. That's literally right there in that 1 minute time period. See, here's 7:31 right here. This was right after non-farm payroll. So that's the moment you could trade it right there. Okay. So do you see a trade setup at all? Anybody? I'm going to slow this down a little bit. This is actually in one time. This is moving this quick. I'll pause it for just a second. But let's draw on our chart again. This is that 1 minute time period, right? And let me show you something here. All right, first off, right this very moment, you would draw a line right here. You would draw a line right there, right? And this is what happened right after that, okay? So at 7:31, it busts up here, okay? Now, I would also draw a line right here myself because this did go up a little higher and come down. So I would draw another line right there. And to me, this is a little sweet spot to get long on that trade. Okay? Your swings all the way down here. They didn't quite test this, right? But they're really heading up. They're not even really taking out line 6. So when I look to the left to trade the right, I look to the closest price and the closest swing next to it. Okay? And if you do that, and then you also have to look at the next one down just to make sure, because a lot of times they haven't tested it either. See, and they haven't tested that. So here's what I'd be looking at on this particular trade. If this was to come down in this little box, I would take it if it went back above this line. Okay? But if they were to give one of these deals where they come down, that's fine as long as they don't take out the swing and then go back above the line, I'll still take it. Okay? But if you get into it, let's just watch it, just bar by bar. See, right there is where it's touching one of your lines right there. That's your second line down. Looking to the left to trade the right. That is a decent entry, but what you would need to do on a case like that is look to the left again. Do you see any swings at all? And I don't, because this is not even a swing because that's a wicked candle. That's where we drew our line. Your swing's all the way down here. But then you have a high, low, higher high. So you know you can't take this out if they're going to continue up. So they're not going to test that swing. Okay? Unless they break what we call secondary and check a medium. Let's see. Okay, I see you're waiting for retrace into the... Yeah, you have to wait for the retrace You know, like I said, this was literally after non-farm payroll. And if you had your own live account, you could have boxed this thing in all the way down here when you saw this happening and gotten the whole move. But it was fast. Believe me, I was watching it. But if you were on like Top Step, to give an example, you couldn't even start trading this thing till here. But what if they don't come down to mid-band because they're really on fire to try to head up? That's why you got to look to the left to trade the right. You know, I always look at highs, lows, higher highs. I know where my swing is. I look at little swings to the left, like this and this. And then if they bounce like that, then you're good. Everybody see that? Now notice that wasn't even a minimum criteria trade, but it was still a legitimate trade as far as coming down and kissing support. You know, when Charles is in the room, for instance, he'll say something like, you know, if you were in this trade, you know, you might want to hold, you know, that 1450.80 to give an example. Well, that's what he's looking at. He's looking at these swings. He's looking over here at this swing, but he's saying, well, wait a minute. You got a high, you got a low, you got a higher high. They're not coming down here. You know, because what's the definition of an uptrend? Thrust, retrace, double top even, higher low, higher high. So that's what you're looking at. But if you got in this trade right here, okay, after reading your chart, you don't want it to go against you very much at all. For instance, if you got in this little trade, like right, you know, when it goes out of the top of that box, when it touches that line, you fire the trade if the bar closes up, or when it breaks the box, you got to put your stop underneath the little box with the close of a bar. And that one actually worked out quite nicely. Okay? Does everybody see that? Because what you're going to find this all the time, that's exactly what they're going to do. So where's the next place that more than likely they're going to check if they come back down? Let's erase our lines and see if they do it. Now, they don't always do it, but then you'll know they're doing something different if they don't. So let's draw on our chart. Okay, we know there's a swing there, and they tested it. See, that's where we got in. But what if you weren't in yet? Okay, they tested this swing. They tested this swing here, I do believe. See there? In this little area right here. See where they're testing it? So they haven't tested this swing yet. So you draw on your chart. And would you think that more than likely would be where they would hit their head on this particular chart? Because I do. I think it would be. Predictors even saying it would be. So let's see if it did. We'll fast forward just a little bit. See, it bounced right off of it, first off. Then you had a little mid-band trade. Let's draw on our chart, though. Does everybody see where I drew on that chart? Ahead of time. So we had a swing here, right? They came through it. They went to the second one, and they didn't quite touch it. But if you would have boxed in here, you would have gotten your trade. And it was all drawn on the chart ahead of time. See, because the whole thing is you've got to be able to see on your chart, you know, ahead of time. Or you've got to start trusting indicators that lag and then putting heavier stops. You know, and we're just not into that. You know, we like to get these trades at as exact a spots as we possibly can. And, you know, they seem to work. So let's check this out just real quick. Let's just check this out real quick. All right, this was 731. We drew on our chart. Okay. And let's say, for instance, we had this drawn here just a minute ago, right? Because that was a swing. See how it bounced off of it? If you took 2 contracts and got in that trade when you drew that line with that bar close, that would have been a good $600 trade about. You draw on your chart again, you draw on your chart again, you got your swings drawn, and what do? They bounced off of that one. Even as far as I'm concerned, I would have taken that because that's a minimum criteria trade. Did it do much? No, but you don't let it go back against you. But then look where they didn't check yet, and that's where they do check. See, draw on your charts. That's why it is so critical to have 4 range charts with lightning, because this is what they do continually. and the thing is, they don't always check to the tick. Usually if they get within 2 ticks of a swing that I have a line drawn on, I'm looking pretty much to get in the trade. Okay. And looking to the left to trade the right, that's what you want to do. And as a rule, the first one, they'll usually try to bounce off of. See how they tried to bounce off of that one right there? Because, keep in mind, you're not seeing any of this yet. You just draw on your chart. And so when this popped up here, you're expecting it either to check here again or here again. And see, that's what they end up doing. That is a legitimate trade right there. Would I take that trade? Very possibly, because it came really close to that swing. Take it on the bar close, and you might have gotten 6 or 7 ticks and then right back in your face. But there was another trade setup right there. Okay? All right, so now let's diagnose our chart and see if we can catch some, things in real time. This is looking kind of toppy. Could you draw trend lines on your chart? Could you tell me if they don't decide to go up, where would they go down? Okay, because you've always got to figure that on your chart too. But let's first figure where we would look to get in this thing if, okay, let's say we took this trade and we're already out of it because it pretty much topped out up here. Where would you look for another trade on this chart? Well, let's draw on our chart. Let's see. Always look to the left. We know it got that one earlier, remember, and it got this one just a few minutes ago. See right here? So then you draw again, and you got to swing here, and you got to swing here. Now, is there a reason to get in a trade yet? No. Because see, they've already checked your swings to the left. To check this one and this one, they would have to break up and come back. Now, could you take a breakout trade, or very possibly like a little dance-off predictor or something? Yes. But if you're talking about retrace trades, which is what we teach, then you would want this to actually break up and then come back and kiss this little sweet spot. And this would be the little sweet spot that I'd be looking for. Would be right in here, but it would have to break first and come back and kiss it. Okay. Now, if they break this right here, they're liable to be heading down even. So you draw a line on it too. And they've already checked all these swings. We checked them, right? The only one they haven't checked is that one right there. Remember, we said they couldn't check it and stay going up. They can't take this out and still be going up. So, and that's even below phantom. See there? So is this actually starting to break down now? It actually is, isn't it? Because it actually broke support. Okay? Now, if you weren't in this particular trade, can you draw on your chart and still tell me where to get in the trade? Let's see. First off, we're not thrust traders, so let's see if we can figure out what a retrace is. Hopefully this doesn't go too fast. There we go. There we go. All right, draw on your chart. Look to the left to trade the right. You got a swing right there. Okay, everybody see that swing right there? It came within 2 ticks, by the way. Could you box this in right here? Anybody? I think you actually could. So I would probably draw a little trend line like that and box it. You can see a swing over here to the left too. And I'd want them to kiss here. They broke down. That's your little swing, just like we looked at over here. So if this was to come up, and you could also even come up as high as here. Looking to the left to trade the right. That's your left swing right there, and that's your left again. So I look at 2 of them. Okay. So let's see. This looks like it's breaking down. There it kissed it. There it kissed it. See it? See how you draw on your charts? So can you tell where the trade is ahead of time? Anybody? Now, will this work every single time? No. But it works extremely well when everything's stair-stepping, right? And for these breakdowns. Okay, because, right now you're even stair-stepping on this one, see, to the downside. So Does everybody see? And you just need to draw it if you don't see it, because, you know, your lightning, you can clearly see it if you just draw it on your chart. See, we drew that line ahead of time. How did we draw that line ahead of time? Because basically you're waiting for the thrust, right? And then you've got to get the pullback, and there was your pullback. See it right there? Let's see. Yes, on that trade makes me nervous because it isn't coming up to mid-band. Well, see, that's why you really want to draw on your chart in a good two places. You know, now that we're through at this side of the chart, let's get it where it's less confusing, because now we're on this side of the chart. So we draw our line. It broke down. We got a red background and everything, right? And so it kissed that swing right there. Now, what if you missed that trade? Anybody? I can tell you where the next trade is. If they follow what they do. Could that be a trade? And then draw on your chart. Always look to the left to trade the right. Closest swing, next closest swing. You know, these aren't closer swings. This is closer than these are. So what you're looking at is you draw on your chart. Hopefully I can do it quick enough. Golly, this thing's not working. Everybody see that? Swing on the left, swing on the right. Look at that rollover. Okay, now if they were to break, let me go over this too. Is this a high and is this a low? And is this a lower high? And the answer is yes. Did they check the swing that they hadn't checked? Yes. They went a little above it, not much. Everybody see that? Now, keep in mind that this was a mid-band rollover to begin with, but notice how it was identified in real time without it even being a mid-band trade. Remember on Friday I was telling Charles when he talked about a mid-band trade, I said, yeah, but this is also a beautiful resistance kiss too. You'll get to where you really like these trades a lot more if you draw them in your mind, and you'll see where they should retrace to. You know, always look to the very left first. That's the most important. And then look to the closest swing. You know, we're going down now, so we're looking at the bottom of these swings, and before we're looking at the top, right? So what you do is you look to the left to trade the right, and then you look to the left to the closest price after that that's higher on a short. Okay? And you'll notice that our predictor nailed it to begin with. See it right there? So basically, what did this do? Let's look at it. I'll bet it wicked it. I'm going to take lightning off, because usually it's the body itself that their math does. See there, it wicked it. See there? The body touched the line. The wick took it out. Isn't that amazing how they do that? Now, if you could ever figure out their algorithm to where you could fine tune it, that they use in, you know, all over the New York Stock Exchange and all the rich billionaires and everything, because this is what they're doing. They're actually looking to the left to trade the right. And you'll see it time and time and time again. All right, let's see where it's been. Now this looks like a little bit of possibly, see how it didn't, if you get a swing and it doesn't take it out a lot, you got to watch it, because it'll usually take this one out. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See how that barely took that out? Now, if we get a lower high and they continue down, that's okay. But if this takes out this swing to the left right here, then this is a little double bottom. So then you look to the left to trade the right. So you got a swing right here, right? All right. You got another swing over here, like so. See it to the left? And then you got another swing right here that they haven't tested yet. All right, but here's the thing. See this thrust, retrace thrust? They can't take this out, or they wouldn't be heading down, right? Not very much anyway. Okay, so let's see here. Thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. Okay, that's a high, that's a low, that's a high, that's a low. So basically, this should almost hold on any kind of pullback if they're going to head down. And amazingly, it's at that same spot as this one was here. So let's see if we get any kind of a pullback. Now, also keep in mind, if they do pull back and you want to take the trade at the best spot, wait for the rollover. You know, because see, like right now, to give an example, this is still stair-stepping up. Does everybody see that? It's still stair-stepping up. Now, what I would do in a case like this, let's don't even use Object Trader today. I want to teach a little bit more of what I do. All right, you got a body here. I draw a little box like this right here so far. All right, now if this pops up above here, you're going to bring the box up. See if it does. Let me fast forward a little bit. There you go. Bring it up here. Bring it up there. Bring it up there. And there's your box. Everybody see that? All right, so this was your box. They never fired. Then they went up, and there's a candle up, candle down. So this was your box at that particular time, right, on this little deal. And then they went up higher, so you had a candle up, candle down. So you're basically here on your box. That's your entry. I don't know if this worked, but let's find out. Yep, it worked. Whoa, did it work? Everybody see how you diagnose that? Now look at our line. Look at the lines that I drew in real time before that ever came there. Because you've always got to look to the left. Not if a person doesn't draw on their charts, at least in your mind, you've got to see these areas. Now, you'll notice, I'll show that again, Rick, not a problem at all. Everybody see what we're doing, though, as far as drawing on your chart? Notice that this little high here, this little low, this little lower low here, they barely broke this by like 5 or 6 ticks. When they do that, they will take this out. Or they'll at least kiss it and roll. Well, we were ready for it to roll at mid-band, didn't roll. So then it stair steps up a little bit more. You got a candle up, candle down. So basically, at the time, let me just do this where it's in real time so you can see it. Whoops, sorry. Do it like this. All right, let me get rid of the lines because Rick wants to know how to draw this box. And some other people do them too, I'm sure. Everybody sees it first though. Okay, you had a low, a high, and a lower low. So technically, a downtrend would need to hold this, right? But it doesn't have to hold it because they barely took this out. If you looked on a larger chart, you would actually see a wick. More than likely, if you looked at like a 12-range chart, that's probably a wick. Because see, that's only like what, 3 ticks, maybe 5 ticks. Is that what that is? Let's check it. You got from 1747.70 to 6 ticks. There's 6 ticks total down there. Now, I like, as a rule, for a swing to be broken by 10 ticks to consider the swing what I call identified on what I call lightning 3. And the reason for that is because when they break these swings, they will usually break them by several bars, and that's at least 10 ticks. When they don't break it by 10 ticks, this is pretty much a double bottom to a lot of traders. And there's a lot of traders that would have boxed this in and gone along with it. Now, I'm not quite that gutsy myself. I might have done this if I'd just gotten up at my computer and may have taken it on that bar or that bar. Let's see, in Elliott wave theory, that would probably be called an expanded flat to the downside. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of technical terms, but you know, the thing about trading is that so many people try to make it more difficult than it really is that you're just literally looking at price action. You're looking at price action and support and resistance. But which support and resistance? See, that's the key to it. And that's why I think that our software stands heads above most of them out there, because we can see these little micro and secondary swings by simply drawing on our charts. And you don't even have to draw on it physically if you can just see the swing. But if it takes seeing it, drawing it to see it, then you got to do that. Okay, but let's go through this like it was in real time though. Let's say that Charles was in the room. He wasn't in the room quite yet, but you can clearly see right now that you've got a swing. So you've got a little thrust, retrace, thrust. So that is support right here on what we call a micro move. Now what I normally do is put it with the body of the candle that I see the little swing in my mind. Okay, and then I look for a candle up, right, candle down type thing, and let's see how that actually transpired. So you got a candle down, right? So could you box this in? Yes or no? Anybody? Could you box this in right here? What do you think? Yeah, yeah. But if you don't want to get wicked into trades, what you've got to do is you've got to at least wait for a 1, 2, 3. Let's see, you got a body up, body up, body up, candle down. So you could actually get in this trade if you boxed it right in through here. And you want to break this with a close of a bar, okay? Because that's a really, what I call a really tight box. So you've got to make sure that it's rolling over. Let's see if it does. So you wicked it, okay? Now you redraw your box like that. Didn't get in, right? Okay, so let's see, you have a bar up, you got a bar down, so you could do it again. And see, since that's got a wick, I'm seeing this box in real time, okay? But I would probably still draw it like that, okay? That's what we talk about by, if you get a wick, you redraw your box. And then that bar went up. That bar went up. So now you have an up and an up. You don't have a down yet. You got an up again. You don't have a down. And there's a down right there. So then you bring your box up like so. And if it breaks it, there's a candle down. Let's see, did that candle go down? Let's look at it. Candle. That one went up. That one went up. So let's see, this one went down, so you would have reboxed it like that. And then candles up again. And candle down. Everybody see that? So you got a candle up, candle down. And that would be your entry. Okay? That way you don't get faked into these things, because if you actually just took this the moment it got near mid-band, with a bar rollover, then the moment that bar goes back up, and if you're a really, really what we call a tight trader, you're going to find out that you're going to get bipped more than you get. Now see this one here, to give an example, somebody will say, well, how did you get this one here, but this one you got all the way up here? Okay. Well, the reason that you do that is because right here you had a candle up, candle down. So you boxed it, right? And here's your candle up, here's your candle down. So what was your entry on this one right here? Well, basically you had your candle up, your candle down, right? And you'd be in on that bar, okay? And that trade didn't even go against you at all. But see here, you didn't get a candle up, a candle down, and it break. And then you got a wick, so you rebox your trade. You can even box it a little tighter. Or looser, I mean. I've even done it before where you don't want to get wicked into something, where you just simply see support down below, and you tell them, hey, you're going to have to break that for I'm going with you. And then if they stair step up, you're saying, hey, you're getting up to a phantom, and then there was your entry. Everybody see that? Let's see, on bar close or break a box. Well, Rick, on your question, that just depends on the person. Because, for instance, if I saw this in real time and it's not going too fast, see, that's the other thing that you got to be careful of, because you're looking at this with me slowing a chart down. I don't know how fast this went in real time. But usually as a rule on that, I would have gone in when it broke this anyway. You know, this is where your sweet spot entry was, but you can also see that they had this, this, and then it breaks this, and it would still be heading down too. See? See there? Okay? Of course, trend lines are really good too. You know, if you would have drawn this, see, you're getting thrust up, retrace, you're seeing this kind of stair stepping up, draw your trend line under those lows. See those lows hit that trend line, and then it broke the trend line. That's another good entry right there. Okay? But I know where the, you know, some frustration comes with people because they end up just taking it because a bar closes down. Okay? Now, we did expect this to actually hold, but it didn't. But was this a trend change to the upside when it just broke this? See, it broke this by that much. So what did it do here? I bet it broke it by almost the same. Broke it looks like by 8 ticks. But that's a phantom trade and a classic rollover trade, by the way. Does anybody remember this little box that we drew in the room? I had that box drawn like this in the room. See how it just kept doing that phantom trade? Does anybody remember that? And we even had the box expanded over because they automatically expand over. Does anybody remember a trade Charles took long that went through that box? So does everybody see a little bit more how you can, I mean, this has been 42 minutes so far, but does everybody see clearly how you can see, you know, basically the next trade on your chart if you'll just draw on your charts? Let's see if we can do it again. I'm going to get rid of all of the bars, and then let's look. Okay, let's pretend you didn't get this trade, you didn't get this trade, you just got up, you didn't get this trade. Where's the next trade on this chart? Well, look to the left, trade the right. All right, so we're going to draw. There was support. Okay, immediately to the left again is over here, right there. And then you've got one more right here. Okay, now let's look at our little micro swings also and see where this thing could be going. All right, you haven't even really had much micro swings, so they haven't checked. See, they're checking this, they're taking it out. Okay, now I like to get like an ABC as a rule. Okay, and you want to be really careful taking a trade that, well, see, it didn't work anyway. If you were to actually have taken this trade where it just touched that box there, you really want to wait for a, you know, that same thing for it to break a little 1, 2, 3 box. But see, this is actually heading up. Let's see if we can box it and take this trade. All right, so we predictor saying right here, and then we got a line drawn here. So let's see if we can get this. We got a candle up, candle up. Very possibly here. There's a candle down. Box is a little hard to, let me just get it where it's not quite so dark. There we go. And there was your trade. Okay. And by the way, here's another way you can do this too. Now keep in mind that when this went up above this resistance and then back down through it, you could get in on that bar right there. Now it didn't do a 1, 2, 3 reversal at that time, so you got to be careful. But watch it check your line. See how they thrust down, they check the line exactly where I drew it. Now, if they come all the way up here and check this one, then they're going to be doing an A, B, C, okay? But it looks like they're not. See, they just checked that resistance right there. But if you draw on your charts, you're going to see time and time again where they're going to tag them. And you'll be surprised if the next day, if you don't see those same lines tagged again because you draw on your charts. Let's see, I like to look for the extended candle at the top into a predictor midband and then anticipate the rollover. Absolutely. Yeah, what Hardy's talking about here, and see, these predictors are doing what I'm doing to begin with. What I'm trying to show you is how to see to the left to trade the right to actually see the trade ahead of time. But what Hardy's talking about right here, and by the way, Hardy's been with us a long time, good trader. This is your predictor right here. Notice it comes into the predictor. You got a candle up, candle down, and he's talking about literally when you roll out of that, you take the trade. Okay? And you don't have to make some big old box, like, well, for instance, this is thrust in here. I'm going to box it like this. You'll get bit most of the time if you do. Okay, you've got to get the little rollovers because that's where the trade's at. Okay. Everybody notice how though when you draw on your charts that they absolutely test them. Say they didn't get to this one. They didn't quite get to that line, but they got to our other two lines, and we drew them ahead of time. All right, so let's look and see. We've got a downtrend on this chart. What do you think? Where's the next trade on this chart? Anybody? Let's draw on it and see if it does. All right, let's see here. It's coming right to this one, right into a predictor, candle up. So far, I'm right here. What do you think? Is that going to roll? Did. Kissed our line perfectly, by the way. Target's right in. Well, predictor's actually saying target's closer. Target's right there. This is definitely a money trade, absolutely. Now, notice when we actually opened that room and everything, this was a trade that we actually took and called, remember, on the gold trade? I don't think I'm trying to remember. I'd have to check my log. I traded back here a little bit more right after that non-farm payroll. But notice that I drew on your charts for you yesterday. And what we're trying to help you do is learn to really draw on your charts yourself. Now, what do you think about this trade so far? You're not taking out the low, but look at it, check my line exactly. You're in a range right now, right? So we want to see if you get another trade. What do you think? Let's find out. Let's draw on our chart. Got a swing right over here. You got a swing here. Did they test? Yeah, they tested that one, so we don't need it. They haven't tested that one, by the way. See it right there? All right, now you're at mid-band. Now this is a little touchier trade because you didn't take out the low. So usually when you don't take out the low, you're going to take out the high. But unless they take this out, they're not heading up. Everybody see that, right? Look to the left to trade the right. So if they come anywhere in this little area here, this would be a sweet spot for a short trade, right? And let's see, they haven't checked that swing. Yeah, they did check that one, but we'll leave a line there too. And they haven't checked that swing there. And we're going to draw on our chart and see if we can get in this trade. All right, so we have candle up, candle down. I'd put my box like this so far. What do you think? Okay, you'd be in the trade, right? Where would you put your stop? Right there. So you got a scalp. Yeah, close to a scalp. Let's see if we can get to line 2. That would be a scalp. Stop still here. You're going to be out. You're out. All right, let's see if that trade worked at all. So you had a little rollover. Let's see if we got it at the right spot, because you would have had a candle up, candle down, so you would have really gotten in right in. No, that was actually it, because you had a candle up, candle down. The candle down again, you might have already gotten into it and you might have gotten a scalp, but if you did the big box like this, no, you didn't get a scalp. There's another opportunity right there, by the way. Hit my line exactly. All right, let's fast forward this and see if we can get some other trades. What are we looking for? Anybody? Still shorts, right? There's a phantom trade setting up. You got a swing on the left. That's your lightning 3 that's identified. So if they don't take that out, they're not heading down. This is a candle up, candle down, candle up, candle down. I'd probably box it right through there. If they go higher, I'd box a little higher. Isn't this past trend change, Mindy? Oh, no, no. No, you're still looking at a phantom. It's a possible trend change, absolutely. But until they get that last gas. Now, here's what I'd be looking for also, though. If they were to thrust up and turn this background green and come back and kiss midband and get me a little box, yes, I would be looking for a long. But right now, this is just a phantom so far. Let's see if we can get it at the exact spot that we want it. Candle down, candle up, box. A little higher if that's candle up and that's candle down. Now keep in mind, you can always, I can see a trend line you could also start drawing now too. Starting to break it too. How about that? See if it worked. Didn't take you out, made you feel some heat. Now this is one of those ones that basically, if you took this on this bar close, you know, on that little reversal right there, and you put your stop at the swing, they never got you, but you definitely felt some heat on that one. Now, would you have taken that trade off the table, anybody? Well, even if you did, you could have gotten back in it with another 1, 2, 3 reversal like on that bar. See what I mean? So, you know, did that scalp? Yes, that definitely scalped. Now, when you start getting something like this, you want to start being a little bit more careful, because see, now what they're doing, they didn't take out the top to change trends, but they didn't take out the bottom either. So what are they in the process of doing? Anybody? Well, we drew on this chart on Friday, if anybody remembers. Matter of fact, I'll just draw it again. Right through here is your phantom, right? And by the way, if you like line 6 to actually short a phantom, you know, usually what I like to personally do is I want it to at least get up into this phantom area, you know, at least touch it. In other words, it's got to turn this on, you know, where you get those red bars. Okay. I don't like it if it doesn't at least get to the phantom. You can still box it because it could be a deep bar probe. But this is getting a little bit more on the iffy side. But let's say you got a scalp, you got taken out. Let's see if we can get another trade. We're not thrust traders, so we're waiting on a retrace. There's another retrace. Right at your little sweet spot. And you got another trade. Put your stop just above the swing. And you're out. Okay? Starting to get a series of higher lows, but you're still looking for what? Shorts, right? Still looking for shorts this time. See if we can get another type of a short. We're not thrust traders, so we got taken out of that trade, so we're waiting on a retrace. Box. Didn't get in. Box. Didn't get in. Box. Didn't get in. You're in. It also broke this trend line too, right across here. Stop would be right there. Try to get a scalp. Look to the left, trade the right. Did we get taken out? Not yet. Yep, out. And did anybody remember what we did on this trade? Is that breaking up now instead of down? All right. Now, what if you didn't take that trade where we called that trade on Friday? Remember that box that was drawn? We had taken that other trade, though. We took this little, or at least I called it anyway. I don't know if people took it, but you did have a phantom trade here that went down to mid-band. But what was happening as this was happening, you know, they were pretty much topping out. They were trying to get higher lows, but then they even made this lower low right here. So they were just in a big old range, weren't they? But what if you missed this trade? And let me slow this down real quick because I want to show you where you can get in the trade again. All right, let's see if we can do it. We're going to draw on our chart. Got a little swing right here, looking to the left to trade the right. And you got a swing right down here. Come on, draw. This silly thing. See how that goes off each time? Well, let me do it with the drawing tool then. Okay, there's your two swings right there. Everybody see that? So where's a trade on this chart? Anybody? That's a thrust. We need somewhat of a retrace, right? All right, let's look to the left to trade the right. You do have a swing right here too. See it? Right there at 47.50. It did bounce off of it. Now, if they were to break this, now let's say that you didn't get this trade where we called it. Okay? Let's say you didn't get this trade where we called it, and now you're trying to get into it. So I see a support level that was resistance. So I would probably box this with a down up, and if it breaks up, I'd take the trade, but I wouldn't let them go below here. Because if they go below here, they're going all the way down to here. And we don't want them to do that because that would put you in a bad shape. Everybody see that? You got to draw on your chart to see what they're doing. So lightning wise, they busted up above resistance. They pulled back and checked it. Okay. Could you box this trade in here even if it doesn't come down to line 6 or even down in here? And the answer is yes. But you have to actually wait for the little retrace at least. And that's where you get a thrust and you get a pullback and you draw on your chart. So to me, this is what I call micro swings. See, I have thrust, retrace, thrust. They cannot take out that line right there. Okay, if they're going to head up. Let me draw it for you if you don't see it. See that little swing right there? So if I was to get in this trade, let's just box this and see if it worked. Without taking us out, that is. See if it works. See there? Now, looking to the left to trade the right, could you have put your stop here? And the answer is yes. That was like 4 ticks down. Okay, so that was pretty much a trade that you shouldn't have gotten hurt on just simply by looking at the fact that lightning was held. Okay, always keep in mind that on your trends you've got lightning 1, 2, and 3. You're first looking at the minor swings for these pullbacks. Okay, so if you saw this and you drew this, matter of fact, I think if I remember right, Charles and I may have even said 1447.50 on Friday because it popped up and it pulled back and kissed and you got in the trade. Now, why didn't it go ahead and come down below stealth and line 6? Because you had your swing here. So you had a thrust, retrace, thrust. They cannot take out that swing if they're going to continue up. Okay? Now, watch and see if that doesn't just happen the whole way when they do these trades like this. Let's see if it does. Is that unidentified swing yet? No, but let's see if it gets identified. All right, now that this is broken up, I consider this to be my swing, and I consider this to be my micro swings, like so. Everybody see that? Does anybody remember where we put our stop call on the gold? And it still went up, didn't it? Okay. Is everybody seeing a little bit more how to, to nail the trade? Now, keep in mind that what I was talking about more today is actually being able to see the trade ahead of time. But if you'll just memorize the 4 types of trades that we teach, you're going to do pretty good in your trading to begin with, because you're looking for what? Mid-band trades, you're looking for minimum criteria trades, you're looking for phantom trades. Those are your 3. Now, let's see if this actually, notice that that's double top. So where's your swing on this chart? It's right there and right there. See the swings on the left? This is not an identified swing because it double topped. So this needs to hold on a pullback, and this one for sure. So let's see if it did. Bounced off of it and took it out. All right. Everybody see that? So if you got in this trade in between those 2 lines, let's say that they faked you in. Did you get out immediately? Don't let it go all the way back down to phantom. Okay? Because where was our identified swing on this chart? It was here and here. When they came down here and tried to bounce, they didn't bounce, and then they took this out even. Well, they did bounce here one time. So, if you put your stop here, you were pretty good, except that I don't like that one myself. If you double top like this, they're going to take this out. If they bounced off this, you would have been okay. But when they took this out right here, you should have gotten out of the trade. And if I remember right, Charles got out at mid-band. Does anybody remember where I called another trade on this chart, though? It was right down here. Why would this trade, and let's back this up for just a second, and we're almost through. One more second, because remember, these were called live in the room too. This is not hokey pokey stuff. When you got taken out of this trade, and let's say that you thought, well, you know what, if this goes up again, I'm going to box this silly thing in. All right, so let's say that you're seeing this right here and you're saying, okay, if they break this, with the close of a bar, I'm going in. Well, it went down further, didn't it? So you just keep bringing your box down. Bring your box again. Right with the wick, remember the wicks. Didn't get you in. Box again. Box again. And you got in. And we called that trade exactly right there. If you want to, so you don't get wicked into a trade, get your box just a little bigger. That way you're not just, hugging like so tight that if they barely close, you're going to get in, then you might, get hit with 20 ticks. And always keep in mind too, that if a mid-band trade does not work out, and this one never got in, you're looking for the phantom trade. Okay, wasn't 1448.50 support also? I'm sure it was, actually. We had a line drawn on the chart, probably. 1448.50. No. Maybe back even further. But it is support over here. You're right, Lewis. That was a good catch. Absolutely a good catch. Looking to the left to trade the right. You're right. Yeah, I was looking for a bigger swing, but see, this one did a thrust, retrace, thrust. So they broke here, but they had never checked here. You're right. Yeah. Drawing your charts. We probably had a line drawn on our chart in the room too. Now, what if you missed this trade right here? Did you know some of our people actually took this trade here instead and still did well on it? So how could you do well on this trade? Well, you have a candle down, if you get a candle up, there's your little box, right? If you include the wick, you're going to get in probably a little late. So let's do it this way. But let's do it this way just in case. Let's see if it breaks that line even. You're in, and you're in. See there? But if you draw on your charts, you're going to see them time and time again come back and check these swings. You think they probably checked that mid-band again? What do you think? Well, let's see. You got a swing right here. Let's see, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. They can't break this, obviously, if they're going to head up. They haven't checked this swing here, like so. So let's see what they do. All right, you got a mid-band trade setting up, right? Did you get in the mid-band trade? Nope. Be right there, wouldn't it? Came right down to your line, drawn ahead of time. Everybody remember that was drawn on Friday also? You just have to learn to see, you got to look on a long trade, you got to look on the top side of the swing first, but you've also got to look at the bottom side of the swing too. And that's why we draw two sets of lines on those charts. And the same thing except opposite on the shorts. So see how that bounced right off of that? Predictor even nailed it. It knows by this price action pretty much where this trade is. So if you box this trade in the room where we did it on Friday, you got your little trade. Everybody see it? We're about 7 minutes over, but I think everybody should be able to see that this turned out to be a monster day. And I'm going to now fast forward this, and I'm going to see if anybody can catch the next one, then we're going to wrap. And y'all tell me where to draw it after you got, let's pretend you didn't get in here. Let's wait for a thrust. There's another phantom right there. All right, there's a thrust. Boy, that was a good one again, wasn't it? All right, so let's draw on our chart and see if you can nail it. Well, it actually already happened. See it? Right there. So if you were looking at this and you're drawing, they break up. What do? They come back and kiss. And that's exactly what they did. Notice our predictors will nail them. I mean, you can pretty much take them to the bank. They're pretty good. Okay? Any final questions before we wrap? That actually turned out to be a pretty good little place to get that, didn't it? Hope this helped everybody. Let's see. Let's see. Anybody have any final questions before we wrap? What market replay do I use, Hardy? I actually use a company called marketreplay.net. It costs $150 a year nowadays to use them. I'm grandfathered in. I paid them $150, and it used to be lifetime. This help everybody out? Can you also tell where a chart's going to, go the opposite direction too if they happen to break? Well, always watch for the color background and everything, and then watch for that retrace, because you're going to see it time and time again, just like clockwork. For instance, if let's just fast forward this. Let's see if a line will hold. I'm gonna fast forward this like 500 times. Another little 1, 2, 3 type trade. High, low, higher, high. If they break this in any way, shape, or form, they'll probably head down some. There's another phantom. Stopped you out. Red background. What are you looking for? You're looking for These type of trades here, mid bands, that would have boxed in. You might have gotten faked in that one actually. You might have gotten faked in that one right there. But your Phantom probably made up for it, didn't it? It did. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and wrap. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll do this on Monday, but just keep in mind that on Friday morning, the trades that were called in the room live, this trade was called. This was right when we opened the room, pretty much sweet spot, had a box drawn on it. And a lot of our people nailed that trade. If you didn't get that one, this one was called. Nailed that trade. And by the way, just like Charles teaches too, don't try to just take every trade until you give your money back. You know, if you could have gotten this trade here and this trade here, you could have been done for the morning. I mean, 2 contracts, that's an $800 trade, or say 600, and that's probably another 500. So there's an $1,100 day right there with 2 contracts. And then there was others here. That's easily a $200 to $300 trade. Another one here, and then this trade was called when it broke this, and that turned out to be a monster of the upside. All right, thanks everybody. Yeah, market replay data.com is $49 a year, Kenneth says. Yeah, there's all kinds of market replays out there. Let's see, will it be available in its entirety in a couple hours? It'll be available in probably 30 minutes. I'll have it on the website. All right, thanks everybody for coming. See you Monday morning.